Se comprate un'auto sportiva, non dovete...
If you buy a sports car, then you should not complain that there is not enough space for the whole family and luggage. The same thing can happen with the boats.
Atlantis, marchio del gruppo
Atlantis, brand of the AZIMUT Benetti Group, has just presented a new model, the Atlantis 51, which is a very sporty coupe, but which actually establishes a new record of habitability. The designers Marco Biaggi and Filippo Salvetti of Neo Design, led by the shipyard, have succeeded in designing a yacht for family use, but also for sport. The trend today is to build boats that are a little wider than the past, and this is a beam among the largest in its segment, 455 centimetres. But they have not sacrificed on the hydrodynamics. The hull is streamlined to enter gently into the wave. It is the deckhouse with its proportions which makes this Atlantis 51 a marvellous boat. The line of the foredeck is fascinating, but this floor is rather inclined, and so, to not slip, they have roughened the surface with an excellent non-slip. The sun deck is about 2 meters long, more than enough. An interesting observation point is what shows us the panorama framed by the arc of the hardtop. They have created a boat that offers more than you expect. The cockpit has sofas on both sides and a kitchen cabinet. The table rises, lowers and moves closer or further from the sofa, so it is used for dining or as a coffee table. In the cockpit there is also a sun deck next to the command post. It receives light through the roof. There is also a jet-propelled tender garage, a 330cm J33 Pirelli made by Technarib, exclusively for AZIMUT. The swimming plank is submersible. Below deck, the Atlantis 51 has 3 cabins with dining area and kitchen. But how did they do it? Secret, it's a very compact and backward engine room. The owner's cabin is at the bow, and usually in this area of the boat the height is reduced. Here instead they managed to make this cabin high, lowering as much as possible the floorboards, and then it is bright thanks to the side windows, but especially to the passage of light through the bridge. The guest cabin is a suite with 2 beds that can become a double. The third cabin is important. Other similar boats do not have it, and it is certainly not uncomfortable. It is really interesting, the layout of this model, which proposes below deck also the kitchen and dinette. As the 2 areas are exactly opposite each other, they integrate and give each other space. This sofa was made building a mock-up. That is a model in real scale on which they work to optimize it. The cushions remain attached to the back with hidden magnets.
A me piace correre e su questa barca.
I like to run, and on this boat, the Atlantis 51, we have so much power. The Volvo Penta IPS 800 system.
Il costruttore svedese lo chiama in questa maniera perché ritiene che...
The Swedish manufacturer calls it this because he thinks it has the same thrusting capacity as a propulsion with 2 800 horsepower inline engines. But in reality, the engines are 600 horsepower. But we have Volvo Penta pod drives.
Sono 2 propulsori che si trovano sotto lo scafo.
They are 2 propellers located under the hull, towards the stern, and have the characteristic of being steerable, and have the propeller facing the bow, which pulls the water and carries out its action in a very clean stream, not disturbed by the appendages which are normally located in the stern area of the hull.
Questo tipo di impianto è dotato anche del Trim Assist, eccolo qua.
This type of system is also equipped with the Trim Assist. Here it is. I push it is a system that automatically controls the trim, changing the adjustment of the interceptor. The blades on the transom descend slightly underwater for the correct. In fact, the angle of incidence of the boat, we are using it in the hull, begins to plane at 12 knots, 1,600 RPM.
Tenete in considerazione un altro dato. Stiamo consumando 70 litri ora, ma per l'esattezza...
Consider another figure. We are consuming 70 litres per hour, but to be precise, a bit more interesting is the consumption per mile. At this time, about 5.5 litres per mile is needed. Let's memorise it, and we'll see later why.
La giornata è deliziosa e mette...
The day is wonderful and gives us a real desire to sail, even if we are not in the height of summer. I open the roof because air doesn't enter. They have treated the aerodynamics in an excellent way. Just a light breeze, just enough to make you feel a little bit of sportiness.
Siamo davanti a Varazze sull'acqua.
We're in the front of Varese on the Ligurian coast. There is a slight wind in the stern, but barely perceptible, and the sea is practically flat. Accelerating naturally increases the speed but does not change the inclination of the hull, and this is a very interesting fact. It's a bit due, of course, to the system of automatic adjustment of the trim, but also the waterlines, which are a bit different from the usual.
Che sono un po' diverse dal solito. Hanno disegnato due pattini per...
They have designed two skids for each hull floor, which start from the bow and almost arrive at the centre of the hull, or rather a little further.
Abbiamo raggiunto la velocità di 20 nodi.
We have reached the speed of 20 knots and the consumption is 5.8 litres per mile. That is, it has risen very little, and yet we are already cruising at a pleasant cruising speed. As I said before, this propulsion system has the property to have the propellers steered under the hull. What does this mean? That the boat is very agile, even if I give a little more speed. Volvo Penta allows you to have 3 different settings of the rudder, to have a response a bit more responsive than this or a bit softer. I choose the intermediate one and I'm fine.
Ora, che cosa si può desiderare da una barca come questa?
And now, what could you want from a boat like this? To sail at a cruising pace of 30 knots. The engines are at 2,650 RPM and consumption is 6 litres per mile. The efficiency is high.
Dobbiamo però ancora fare una verifica.
But we still have to make a check. That is to say, if this sporting aspect and so much power also correspond to exciting performances. And then, full speed. Let's have the automatic trim system working. Let's see what happens. 2,950 RPM, 34.5 knots, 34.7 knots, 34.8 knots. Wow! But now I act.
Via il sistema automatico di controllo e
via the automatic control system and see what happens. Oh, 35.5, 36, 36, I saw them, 36 knots of speed.
Così.
So I like it even more.